Hello, everyone. It's Danny, your favorite thought leader, compliance, and risk expert, and I'm here today with another episode. Today, we're going to talk about a really hot topic, and we've covered it before, but we're going to delve into greater detail as we go over this series, and it's going to talk about measuring compliance program effectiveness. And we have the OIG's resource guide here. These are steps that have come directly from the regulatory agency that governs healthcare compliance. And so when we look at measuring whether or not we're doing a good job at getting it right, we really want to make sure that this is the barometer that we're using in order to do so. Now, the first element that the OIG has given us pertains to the organization's standards, policies, and procedures. Now, what's important about that is that the first step here is that they suggest you conduct periodic reviews of your policies, procedures, and controls. Why is that important? Well, number one, the first step wasn't writing them, which implies that if you don't have written policies to support your compliance program, if there are no procedures that really give your employees guidance as to how to carry out the tasks that they've been asked to do, you may have a little bit of a problem getting engagement, understanding, and true enforcement and effectiveness of your compliance program. So obviously, the unspoken step one is to make sure you've developed effective policies and procedures that cover the regulations that govern your particular healthcare organization. Now, for some of those, you'll need to consult legal. Now, consulting legal isn't something you necessarily always need to do, but as regulations change, as laws evolve, and as cases actually come out, sometimes the way in which we do business also needs to evolve. So it's important that we maintain a line of contact and ensure that hot topic policies go to our legal departments in the cases where it makes sense to do so, to ensure that their review is conducted and we can mitigate the risk of any legal liability that may come from negligence. Now, another question that you'll want to ask is, do all of my policies and procedures need to exist? Obviously, as rules and regulations change, as the culture of the corporate environment changes, policies, procedures change, we get different tools, and things are constantly moving, growing, and changing. If your organization does not have a schedule or well-defined process for ensuring an appropriate review, an appropriate and thorough review by someone in a position of authority and accountability to ensure that these steps are carried out in an appropriate way, you could face liability. Now, get rid of policies that don't need to exist. Why? Because they simply stand to complicate the employee's learning opportunity to grasp other policies that do apply or may be more important than ones that are not even applicable anymore. So feel free to retire those. You'll want to make sure that you follow your records management policies and ensure that those documents are kept for the applicable period of time to ensure that there's no regulatory hot water there, guys. Also, coding policies and overpayment policies are ones to keep in a tough watch on, okay? Those are ones that you want to make sure as the climate changes, which we know when it comes to anything financial, there are always going to be changes that are ever evolving as it pertains to that. When it comes to coding and billing compliance, these regulations are often updated. These changes are often made. So it's important to keep a line of sight as to what's going on in the world around you so that you can make sure that your inner world maintains a sense of peace in knowing that you are being compliant. Now, lastly, and perhaps not even least, you'll want to make sure that your organization's missions, values, and ethical standards are demonstrated in its policies and procedures. If you have a code of conduct and ethics training, any type of compass that would give the employee a guide, these things should coincide with your policies and procedures, never contradicting. So you'll want to review them really cohesively to ensure that they're going to be able to marry each other and operate in tandem, because one should support the other and really serve to offer the organization a sense of stability that it may not have had otherwise. This also applies as it pertains to controls. Now, the reason that the OIG requires that you review your controls periodically as well is because it makes us no benefit. There's no benefit in continuing to review policies and procedures if we test these systems and find that these steps do not apply, that they're not accurate, that they don't work, they don't support a culture of compliance, or there are perhaps loopholes that are detrimental to our overall plan. You'll want to look for these things. Be on guard. It may be beneficial for you to even use one of your top employees, perhaps the most clever one. Say, hey, do me a favor and figure out how to beat my system. And see if there are loopholes around this. That way, you know what to watch for within your organization. Allow your employees to help, provide their contribution, and you'll find a more collaborative effort will breed their engagement and adaptation to the culture that you're desiring to implement. Guys, that's all for today's segment. I just want to remind you in closing, your policies, procedures, and standards are not only essential to the health and efficiency of your organization in word, but also in practice. It's important to foster a culture of compliance, not only by saying, here's a stack of papers, these are the rules, but by actually going through it, talking about it, ensuring clear understanding, and then making it a point to demonstrate it, reinforce it, reward it when it's right, and correct it when it's wrong. Guys, these are just tidbits of compliance steps. I hope this video has been helpful to you today. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more compliance insights with Danny. Bye now.